Welcome to Above Par. I'm your host, Kathy Hartwood. I show you how to take more of your talent to the golf course without practicing harder, taking more lessons, or buying new equipment. I show you how to end the frustration of underperforming so you can start playing to your potential. This is where you are going to learn how to think above par so you can play below par.
Hello, my golf friend. Welcome back to Think Above Par. Hope you're having a beautiful week, beautiful day. Okay, so a couple of days ago, I had this epiphany, this thought about how we ask ourselves crappy questions. Now, I have a podcast. If you ask crappy questions, you're going to get crappy answers. Ask better questions. But I had this other thought that crossed my mind that was about we ask questions where the answer is I don't know. And why do we do that? And is it useful? And sometimes some people ask those questions over and over again of themselves. And what happens when we're on the golf course and we're asking ourselves a question where the answer is, I don't know? You're asking yourself the question, right? And the answer is your brain goes, I don't know. We freak ourselves out, right? Most of the fear golfers feel doesn't come from bad swings. It comes from bad questions, right? So for instance, am I going to score well today? Am I going to win? Am I going to lose? What are those people thinking of me? Is the wind going to blow or stop? I don't know. We don't know the answers to these questions. And so if your brain doesn't know the answer, it doesn't relax. It's going to scan until it finds an answer. It's going to kind of freak out. And when we play golf, there are so many situations where we don't know the answer to a lot of questions we ask ourselves on the golf course. Right? Am I going to hit in the water? Am I going to finish well? Or we kind of think asking ourselves questions as being investigative or curious, right? Or smart. But really, we create so much uncertainty, and our brain hates uncertainty. If the answer is, I don't know, that means your brain is uncertain and doesn't feel safe. That's why we freak it out, right? Your brain's going to start scanning for danger. Your body's going to tighten. It's going to try and control the outcomes because it doesn't know, right? You're trying to predict something that you can't control, right? It's because questions create direction, but unanswerable questions create anxiety. And it's not because the question is bad. It's just because we don't know. These questions pull us into the future. They invite prediction instead of presence. They make your brain scan for threats. And they shift your focus away from what you're actually doing. So I gave you a couple examples of I don't know questions, but it's like, am I going to score well today? Am I going to shoot under par? Am I going to shoot over par? Will I have a blow-up hole in the back nine? Can I hold this round together? What if I ruin it? What are the other people shooting? Am I good enough to beat them? Is my swing going to leave me today? Am I going to start three-putting again? What's my timing going to be like today? Is the course going to eat me alive today? So the key is it's not about not asking questions. It's about asking better ones. It's about catching the questions where the answer is obviously, I don't know. Have you ever had a conversation with a friend? Let's take this off the golf course for a second. And she or he is saying like, why did they do that? What were they thinking? Why didn't they call me? Why didn't they tell me? Why did they say that thing to that person? The answers to all of those are, I don't know. And that just keeps our head spinning. If you're an overthinker, this might be something that is going to resonate with you, right? Because we just get our brain spinning. We're just like speeding up that hamster wheel in our head because we keep asking ourselves questions that we don't know the answers to. We don't know why that person did the thing. We don't understand what they were thinking. We have no idea why they didn't call us. We don't know the answers right now. I mean, some of them maybe, right? If you were direct and came up and actually asked the person, and if you trusted the answer that they gave you in those different examples. And things like this are just not useful on the golf course. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to start replacing, First, we want to catch them. Listen to the questions that you ask yourself. Start off the golf course. It doesn't matter how we do one thing, we do everything for the most part, right? We have patterns and habits. So you're likely doing it off the golf course too. So start there where you're spending more time. Witness yourself asking questions where what is the answer to that? Is the answer, I don't know? Can I find the answer out to help settle my brain? If you're asking yourself on the golf course, am I going to score well today? You just freaked your brain out. Maybe it's like, how can I show up best today? What's my job on this shot? If you ask yourself, are you going to mess up? You're going to mess up this shot or mess up this hole? Ask yourself, what can I be certain about? What do I know how to do right here? That's going to come up with more of a concrete answer. And if the answer is inside of you and not outside of you, right? If it's not in someone else's head, if it's not left to Mother Nature or chance or variables that we can't control, if the answer is inside of you and you say, I don't know, then the next question you ask yourself, what's my best guess? Because what you've done is you've shut off your brain from searching for the answer. The minute you say, I don't know to yourself, then you basically turn your computer off and it quits looking. If the answer is outside of you, right, you've created fear. Are you following me? So if you said, what's my best next move? And you said, I don't know, you turned your own computer off. That answer is inside of you. That answer is not in someone else's head. If the question is, what are they thinking of me at this moment? And the answer is, I don't know, it's a crappy question. We're just going to quit asking it. Or we're going to ask a different question where we can have a solid answer to, so that we can create some certainty and safety for our brain. So you can start asking, can I actually know the answer to this right now? Is the answer inside of me, or is it inside of another person? Or is it in the variable of golf, wind, conditions, bounces? You get to ask yourself, what does this question do to my body in the swing? Is it calming? Do you feel better, or do you feel tighter and more tense? If you feel tighter and more tense and more fearful, it's not a powerful question. And then switch it out. You have that moment right then and there to pivot. Because if the answer is to any of these questions, I don't know, your brain fills in the blank with fear. Okay? So your checklist is notice the question. Step 2 is ask, can I know the answer to this right now? If not, you get to swap the question. Because your brain will always answer a question, even if it has to make something up. All right, so this week, my friend, off of the golf course, I want you to listen to your questions. Decide if you have the answer or they're outside of you. And if they're outside of you, you're just creating fear. You're just ramping up your hamster wheel. You're just spinning your thoughts more. And you have the power and the agency to shift it at that moment. And when you get in the habit of doing that, then you're going to notice all the times on the golf course where you ask yourself crappy questions that produce fear, that you can't answer, that you don't know. And if you do know, you need to say and come up with an answer. Because if you do not, you're just going to live there in fear and tension over that next shot. And you're going to shut down your brain to look for solutions. And the solutions are inside of you, not anyone else. All right, my friend, I don't know questions. If you want to talk more about this, I'd love to see you inside Your Mental Caddy, yourmentalcaddy.com. And in the meantime, have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. All right, bye.